Going. I hope everyone has had an excellent week. The week has been crazy busy. We started something new this week. We started coaching. My wife and I started coaching my son's t-ball team. That is an adventure. So yeah, just lots of stuff going on, work-wise and family-wise and whatnot. All good things, but just very busy. Yeah. Today I wanted to talk about one of the most common questions, well, things I answer. I guess not people don't ask it to me directly, but um, one of the most common questions I see asked out there is, how do I calculate my macros? Whether you're into macro or calorie tracking or counting in general or not, um, I think it's an interesting exercise to go through. But yeah, I just wanted to create this video to show people how I generally think about it and how I go about doing it for my clients. And hopefully it helps people figure it out for themselves. So, and I'll share some of the stuff with everyone as well. If you haven't already gotten it, it might be some useful tools to help you out in your own journey. So let's get started. I'm going to share my screen so that people can see what I'm doing, and I have a feeling that probably be pretty useful. Again, I need to figure out how to do this. Let's see if this works. I think this is everything we need. We will allow that. All right, so you can see the dashboard here. So the first thing that I like that you need to figure out, I guess, when you are trying to figure out your macros is the first thing I go to is figuring out or estimating caloric expenditure, because everything is kind of gets based off your total amount of calories you burn plus your body weight, and as well as your some degree you can throw in your fat-free mass, will get used in the caloric expenditure too. So there are a couple things we really need to figure out first in order to calculate macros, and that first thing is kind of just your total caloric expenditure. Now, the gold standard way to do that is to get a metabolic test done, such as this one. This is the one I did on myself with my Pinoy metabolic cart. This basically sometimes you have to go someplace that has special equipment to this. I have a portable device, which has been proven to be fairly accurate, that I use for myself and my clients, local clients anyways. And it will basically breathe into this mask. It measures the amount of carbon dioxide and oxygen you're inhaling and exhaling while you're fasted first thing in the morning, laying on the ground, basically doing nothing, and it will give you an estimation of your what's called your BMR, or basal metabolic rate. And then it will give you just some, if you add activity and exercise on top of that, what would your total caloric expenditure look like, right? So my basal metabolic rate, if I literally just laid on the ground and didn't move for 24 hours, I'd burn 2,021 calories. If you add on just kind of everyday activities plus exercise on top of that, assuming that I exercise for 45 minutes at moderate intensity, I'll burn an additional 404 calories. So you add that all together. If I was to just on exercise days, I'd be burning around 2,300 calories, and on exercise days, I'd be burning around 2,700 calories, right? So this is probably the most accurate way that the average person is going to get to, or I shouldn't say the average person, but this is the most accurate way that you can estimate your caloric expenditure. So if you've done one of these tests, that's probably what you should start with as far as your daily caloric burn. And then if you haven't had one of these tests, there's a number of different ways you can estimate your calorie burn. And there are several different calculators that you can use. So there's a whole bunch of different formulas that you can use, and you can Google caloric burn formulas, etc. But I like this website. It's pretty good because it includes all the different types of formulas that people have for calculating daily caloric energy expenditure. Right? You can see there's probably 10 or so here that you could choose from, right? But it kind of selects the best one for you. So you enter in a little bit of information, and you'll get some type of estimation, and you can see all the different values, right? So for example, we'll use my own data, and I'll put a link to this in the description as well, so you can go check it out. But if I enter my own data here, so I'm 5'11", I am a male, I weigh 152 pounds as of this morning. I am 37 years old. We'll come to this in a second. Body fat percentage. We need to come out with the body fat percentage. How active am I? I'm probably between active and very active. If you're just sitting at a desk all day, you'd be sedentary. If you just kind of work out occasionally, maybe 3 times a week, maybe you're lightly active. If you're someone who works out like 5 or 6 times a week, you're probably going to be active. If you're working out 5 to 6 times a week and you have a physically active, demanding job, then you're probably very active. I'd probably fall in between these two here, but I'll just choose active for now. My athlete type, what is my goal? Am I interested in physique or performance or sport? For right now, like if you're trying to lose body fat, you're probably going to choose something like physique. If you're interested in more performance related goals, you want to see how fast you can run or how much you can lift type of stuff, you're going to choose sport. So right now I'm more in the sport side of things. And the last thing is body fat percentage, right? So how do we measure body fat percentage? So you'll see here there's a number of different ways. Skinfold, DEXA, UWW is underwater, I believe, like a dunk tank they call them. And then BIA is what you would use if you're like step on a scale and I told you how your body fat percentage was. So like in body would be like if you're familiar with that type of scale, that would be a BIA calculator. You might not have access to any of these things. I've had a DEXA done. This would be gold standard as far as body fat percentage is concerned. And so I know what my number is. But if most people have not had a DEXA done, so how do you calculate, body fat percentage if you haven't had any or don't have access to any of these things? The U.S. Navy body fat calculator is probably one of the best things. Again, I'll put this link to this calculator, but if you just Google U.S. Navy body fat calculator, it's probably a pretty good estimate. Works pretty well. Again, I'm going to put in my details here. So I'm a male. You just need a tape measure here to do these calculations. So my weight is 152. I'm 5'11". My waist, probably, I haven't done it recently, probably around 30 inches. My neck is maybe around 13 inches. So given that, I have about a body fat percentage of 13%. It's actually probably lower than this, but it's not far off, right? Via DEXA, I was last time I had it done was just below 10%, so it's not terribly far off. So it's a rough estimate of where you sit. So that's how you get your body fat percentage, right? So then what do you? I think you can do this without technique. Let's see. No. If you're going to use the body fat percentage with the calculator, I would choose BIA because, again, this is just a rough estimate. It's similar to what you would get from a BIA. It's not nearly as accurate as a DEXA or skin folds or underwater measurements, so I would choose BIA for that. and you can click. But if you have a DEXA, right? So if I went in here and I said, what's my DEXA was just shy of 10%, so we'll put 10% here. And whatever method you choose, you could calculate TDE. And you see here we get a whole bunch of calculations on both RMR. So this is what I would get for if I just laid on the ground, did nothing all day long, and didn't move, etc. And TDE this is how much I would expend, including exercise and daily movement on top of that, right? So based on my goals and my activity level, etc., they calculate this TDE on top of it, right? But you can see here we got a whole bunch of different estimates here as to where I might fall as far as caloric expenditure. There's no, they're somewhat similar, right? This one being the highest one, and this one being, looks like, oh no, I'm sorry, this one's the lowest one, right? So is estimating anywhere between 2,500 calories and almost 3,000 calories. And again, if we went back to my RMR test, surprisingly, the RMR test has a estimation in between all those two numbers, right? At 2,700 calories. I know in general that this is probably the most accurate one for me based on how much I know I can eat and what my weight does. So probably up around the 3,000 calorie mark. So that would be most accurate. But you can pick whatever one you want as a starting point. For in this case, what I would do in normal for this person, me, for example, if I was coaching them and I was trying to figure out the caloric intake, I would pick 2,700 calories, right? I would pick something that's in between 29 and 25. So 2,700 calories seems like a reasonable in between starting point, and then you can go from there. But you just need a number to start from. It's not going to be 100% accurate, so don't expect it to be. You're going to have to adjust it based on, various metrics, which we won't go into in this video. But, I would pick somewhere in the middle between all these and just start there. So let's say 2,700 calories is my middle ground. So then I'm going to go over to this little spreadsheet that I've created, which does all the calculations for me. Now, there's two sheets here because how I do the calculation depends on what their preferences or my preferences for them. Some people, if you're in the low carb space, you might have a fixed amount of carbohydrates that you want to eat, right? So for example, you're targeting a ketogenic diet, you probably want your carbs to be fixed at 50 grams. I have a typo here, fixed at 50 grams. Maybe you want to do a more moderate carb approach, so you do 150 grams of carbs or 200 grams of carbs or whatever, right? You have a fixed amount of carb intake that you want to take in which case you would use this sheet because the calculations change a little bit based on your preference. If you don't have a dietary preference, you're not specifically, you could apply the same reasoning to fats if you want, but if you don't have a specific dietary preference, I need to eat this amount of carbs or whatever, and I just want to kind of do kind of a moderate in between balance of fats and carbs. And again, this is just a rough estimate. You can start to adjust things after this. Then you would use this fat fixed, which is not really fat. Fat isn't fixed, but it's a fixed range of calculations that I have here. So what you're going to do, you're going to go up to the top here. I'm going to enter my total daily energy expenditure. So we're going to say it was 2,700 calories. And it's going to go through and do the calculations for me. I'll explain this a little bit, right? So my total daily energy expenditure is around 2,700 calories. If you're wanting to lose weight, this is where the caloric deficit is, and this is a percentage. I should clarify that. That's a percentage. Oops. So we'll come back to that in a second, but right now I don't want to lose any weight, so I'm going to put in 0. So my target calories are 2,700 calories. Here I have my body weight. Again, you're going to enter your own body weight here. Mine is currently 152. And body weight is used for calculating protein. So protein is, in this case, fat as well. protein is calculated as around 0.8 to 1 gram per pound of body weight. So if you look at the formula here, I chose my factor as 0.9, again, falling right in between, but you can choose whatever one you want. Anywhere between 0.8 to 1 gram is kind of my recommendation. You could go above or below those numbers based on personal preference, but that's generally what I use. So I should eat around 137 grams of protein per day, which is pretty much around where I eat. Fats are around 0.4 to 0.5 grams per pound. And again, I chose in my calculation 0.6. I'm sorry, I screwed this up. It should be 0.5 to 0.6. Again, that's just personal preference for me. I like my fat to have, to eat a little bit more fat. So that's just where and I need calories, right? And fats are a calorically dense way of getting calories. So for me, at 0.6 tends to work a little bit better for me. And then carbs are just whatever is remaining calories, right? So in this case, I need to make up the difference between my protein and my fat calories, which are both 4 calories per gram. You can see this calculation here is just remaining calories equals target calories minus protein times 4 plus fat times 9. And divide that by 4, and that gives you the remaining grams of carbs you need to eat. So in this case, it would be 333 grams of carbs. Now, this all works very similar here when we look at your carb fixed amount. So if you have a fixed number of carbs you want to eat, you're going to enter that to start with here, right? So in this case, we'll say we'll target a ketogenic diet. We're going to fix carbs at 50 grams. Total daily energy expenditure, again, is 2,700 calories. I'm not going to enter a caloric deficit. I'm going to, so my target calories are 2,700 calories. My body weight's 152. That gives me my protein just like before. Carbs are fixed, so that's 50. And then we just have to calculate fat. So in this case, fat makes up the remaining amount of calories I need to eat. So again, it's just a slightly different calculation here where we're replacing carbs instead of fats as we were on the other sheet. And we're dividing everything by 9 because fat is 9 calories per gram. And that gives you how many grams? So I would need 210 grams of fat then to eat if I was only eating 50 grams of carbs. If I wanted to bump this up to 100 grams of carbs, then my fat's going to drop down based on that, right? So it will automatically adjust based on your preference, right? Now, say I wanted to lose weight, right? So I wanted my client to lose weight, and say I wanted to put them in a 10% caloric deficit week to week. So I would enter 10 here. Again, this is percentage, just to be clear. And so that's roughly 270 something calories, 277 calories or something like that, or 270 calories, I think it is. Doing the math right off the top of my head, 270 calories deficit. That would bring my target calories to 2,430. Again, body weight stays the same. That means protein stays the same, but and since carbs are fixed, that remain the same. So you'll notice as I adjust this caloric deficit, my lever here is my fat, right? So if I say, oh, I want to jump to a 15% caloric deficit, right, you'll see just the fat number changes, right? Or if I want to go back to 10%, right, it only changes the fat. Whereas when fat is fixed here, the adjustment lever is going to be carbohydrates, right? So if I say I want to do 10% here, I'm going to take those calories away from carbs, right? And that's basically how we do it. That's kind of just the standard approach. You can get much more nuanced, etc. It really all depends on again, the big leverages here are going to be what you really need to know is your body weight, your total daily expenditure, and that's going to easily be calculated by going through this form here. And then, you need to get your body fat percentage, and if you don't have way of measuring that, you can use this estimation here, right? So yeah, that's basically how I do it as far as calculating for myself or for people in general. It's an easy way to do it. I'll share this stuff with everyone. you can go ahead and I'll put links to these 3 things so that you can mess around with it yourself. And yeah, I hope that's helpful. And it's like a common question that I get all the time with people. So if that's helpful, please let me know. You can leave me a comment. If you have any questions, concerns, etc. I'm sure you do. Please leave a comment or direct message me or whatever below, and I can help answer them. As always, I encourage everyone to go ahead and sign up for my newsletter by going to my website, rjbhealth.coach, clicking on the newsletter tab at the top, and you can sign up there and get all the content, including these videos and blog posts and all that fun stuff, sent out to you on a weekly basis. That'd be pretty cool. And if you're interested in one-on-one coaching, I only have I might not have 0 spots by the time you see this video, but maybe 1 spot left open. So if you're interested in that, you might want to jump on it. You can reach out to me directly, again, via direct message, or you can go to my website, rjbhealth.coach. Right in the homepage there's a schedule discovery call button. Click on that button, fill out the form, and I'll get right back to you, and we can sign up, figure out a time that we can talk more about that, if that'd be a good fit. And with that, I hope everyone has an excellent weekend, and I look forward to speaking to you all next week.